everybody. Welcome to J&J on Jazz. I'm Jeff. This is James, and we want to talk to you today about shading. James, what are we even talking about here?
Right, so we're talking about good lighting in all the videos that you're going to put out there in the world as a budding jazz musician, right? That's critical in the pandemic. We've all learned. No, that's not what we're... We are not the guys you want to give you advice on lighting of any kind. What we want to talk about today is the idea that when we're playing any kind of tune, but particularly ballads, you know, in jazz and particularly in jazz education, everybody's trying to play faster, everybody's trying to play more notes and more impressive stuff, and I like that we talk about ballads on here from time to time because it's the sign of a real mature player. When you're playing ballads, the idea that you can color notes, you can shade notes, you can taper notes off from a dynamic perspective. We've talked about vocal effects before, but getting into the idea of coloring notes, that's what we want to talk about today. And ballads are a great place to experiment with that. So I think what I'd like to do, Jeff, is I'm just going to play the melody to a ballad. Let's see. How about... I'm going to play Misty. I love that tune. Some people think it's corny. Those people are wrong. I love this tune. So if I just play Misty, I'll play the first couple of bars pretty straight and not really do anything to these notes. And then after that, I'm going to start to think about the dynamics. I'm really going to start to think about the coloring of the notes and what kinds of shades I really want to inflect into it. So I'll just play and get your reaction to it, Jeff. Be nice.
Excellent.
Be nice. So there's Misty.
Yeah, fantastic. Excellent.
So, what do you think? I mean, other than the fact that I sound amazing, what do you think?
Well, other than that, not much actually, because yeah, there was so much in there that wasn't the notes and the rhythms, right? And of course, you were embellishing and adding some fills and stuff like that. But right, what you did with each note, like a great singer, right? How you attacked a note. How you ended a note, what you did with your timbre. Did you do anything with the pitch, the vibrato? We could probably list 10 or 15 ways you shaded those notes, if that's a way we want to talk about it, right? Yeah, there was a lot going on there that made it sound beautiful. Absolutely.
Yeah. So when you say things like shading, coloring, tapering, I'm thinking of it on that micro level, right? And I've been really, in my own practicing, I've found myself being drawn more and more to the parts of players' sound where I can really hear them coloring every note. Like that's their little signature. That's how they sign their name. So when you said that's what you wanted to talk about, that's what came to my mind first. In my teaching, so for you players out there that are trying to figure out how can you get these things to start to happen, you know, there's a reason that we have things like crescendos and decrescendos and dynamics that are in music. And when we were all sitting around in band, these things were written on the page. We need these in our improvisation too. And so doing something as simple as thinking about where you want crescendos to be when you're playing a melody, whether that's sustaining a note in a ballad or if you're playing a line in a bebop tune, if you want that line to have direction, or if you're playing time as a drummer and you want that time to have direction, what's that intensity flow feel like? So start simple and use those sorts of places in your practicing as a way to start engaging with that part of the music. That's what I got today, Jeff.
Man, that's fantastic. Inside JAZZWIRE, and by the way, those of you out there, you've heard me say this before, I want you to sign up for the free trial. Literally come in, see what we're doing. So in the blue community, the more advanced cats, we've been working on a great Mal Waldron tune called Soul Eyes. Do you know that one?
Yes.
Right? It's wonderful. It's a great tune, and it's got all these long notes. Like some ballads are fun because, there's sort of a lot of movement for us to get involved in. And this is just like these beautiful, rich notes against the chord. So it's a beautiful tune. And what I've been talking to some folks about is working on tapering. So that is one of the 10 or 15 things you were doing with those notes. How do we end a note, right? We can sort of slam the door on the note. We can just stop, right? Now, I'm talking about wind players and singers here specifically. On piano, guitar, bass, drums, those are instruments that the notes have a particular decay, right? There's a natural decay to this guitar and to that guitar through a given amp, right? So those people need to learn to work with the decay of their instrument, and then you can maybe toy with it. A guitar player can add vibrato, a piano player can't. Piano, not a great instrument as far as I'm concerned. We can bend a note. Piano, not so much with the bending a note. I don't know. I feel like piano's a bit of a flash in the pan. I don't think it's going to catch on. But, yeah.
You're on fire
Thank
today,
you, piano
Jeff.
players.
You're on
You're welcome.
fire today, man. I love
fire,
this.
baby. Yeah. So this idea about tapering a note. So a lot of novice, intermediate musicians are really just thinking about, man, I got to get this note in the right place. Is my rhythm correct? Oh my gosh, it's a G altered chord. What do I do now? And we're sort of not thinking about getting to the end of that note, playing to the end of the note and beyond, right? So if I play that, the intro part to, the first bit of Soul Eyes. And if I just stop right there, I'm not even done the phrase, but each of those notes, I play the first note, 1, 2, the second note, and what am I going to do? Am I going to hold that out? Am I going to decrescendo? Am I going to stop the note? Is there going to be a time when I go, read, stop vibrating now? Or am I going to taper it off into nothing? Those are the kind of things that when we hear Frank Sinatra sing, any great singer, that's the intricacy, right? Like that's where it happens. Anybody can sing those words. More, I can't sing in tune, but we got the pitches, we got the words, we got the rhythms. It's so beyond that, right? So for me, I want to get everybody out there thinking about tapering those notes. And so on piano, guitar, bass, when do you release the key? When do you mute the string? When do you lift your left finger off the fretboard and stop that vibration? So that's a really, really big deal, what we do with these long notes, and especially at the end. So I want to challenge people to listen to your favorite players, because I'm going to guess that Freddie Hubbard and Chet Baker may do it a little differently, or depending the time, the era of their career, right? Like Miles played differently 30 years, with a 30-year span in there, right? Yeah. So that idea of tapering, that's a big one. Is that something you've practiced on the instrument, James, that idea of releasing a note like that?
I don't think I practiced it. You know what? I learned. I internalized it through learning solos. And it brings up something that was like one of our first episodes back when we really liked each other. And when we talked about transcribing and transcription, right? And I was always so obsessed, because I had great teachers when I was in high school, two really great mentors in high school, and they both told me, you should learn every single sound that player is playing. Your goal is to try to sound like them, not just the notes, but the style. And so you mentioned Chet Baker, right? There's a great Chet Baker solo on But Not For Me. And there's another chorus. And I learned that a few weeks ago after having been listening to it forever and ever and ever. And I'm so glad I had teachers that made sure when I was that young that I was learning the stylistic things that I was hearing too, because that's where I got those sorts of ideas of coloring and shading and tapering just from trying to copy my heroes. So you can take a systematic approach to it, which is really good. You can take an aural approach where you're immersed in just trying to sound like these other people. You should do both of those things, because now I find myself doing it in maybe a more systematic way, so that I can make sure that I'm maximizing it and thinking about it and being very intentional. So anyway, that was a long answer to your question.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
No, and I mean, we had to get to the point of, you got to listen to your heroes and copy them, right? And so that was an interesting answer. It is funny how you and I came at this music differently. Like on the saxophone, I'll say, but I know it's the same on trumpet, is the mechanics of tapering a note is hard.
Yes.
And a lot of people, right? Because as we taper, as we get softer, a lot of us pinch and the pitch goes up as we get softer. So you get sharp and so the pitch gets sharp, the sound gets thin. So your timbre gets worse a lot of the times. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we can actually squeak or miss pitch because of the tension there. So it's actually a real technique to learn how to decrescendo to nothing without getting sharp and thin, right? So I mean, I remember in my classical saxophone days, believe it or not, Jamie, I used to play classical saxophone.
Keep talking. Oh gosh.
I know. I recently learned, everybody, that back in the day, James was known as Jamie.
Oh my
God.
God.
You just learned, James, that back in the day, I played a lot of classical saxophone. So
right.
there's all sorts of stuff going on that, we're learning a lot about each other.
Oh, man.
There it is. Well, so yes, I spent a lot of time on the mechanics on the horn. So it's cool that you all understand what I'm talking about. It's cool you're going to go listen. It's cool you're going to just listen to what James played there and really hear that. But here's the thing. Just because you hear it, identify it, and kind of dig it, it's not clear you're going to be able to do it, right?
Exactly.
So, there's a lot of things I see. I saw the guy fix my car the other day. Doesn't mean I can do it. So I just want to invite you all to sort of address the instrument, really, kind of what James was saying, sort of getting in the weeds with it. And it's great to approach it. Now, some of you will be able to hear Chet Baker do it, and you're a good mimic. You can actually just kind of do it. It drives me crazy. My son is like that.
That was me. Yeah.
I wish that was me. So my son does that. He doesn't quite know what he's doing when he's playing. He's a very good musician. He's auditioning for Berkeley next month. And he just hears something and he can do a really close approximation to it. I'm not wired that way. I'm not a good mimic. I have to know the rules of the road and create it from the ground up.
Yeah.
So we're each a little bit different, but at the end of the day, we have to play the instrument well. So each of these instruments is going to have something that we work on mechanically. And then, of course, there's the oral listening part to it. So, yeah. Well, man, I mean, I'm really glad we talked about this. And I love how I mentioned to you tapering. To me, it was a volume thing. And I love how you sort of expanded it to include, so much else. And I appreciate that lovely version of Misty because, man, that was a master class.
Thank you.
Like I said, there's got to be a list of 15 things that you were doing that were beyond notes and rhythms. Fantastic.
This was a great one, Jeff. Yeah, man. Thanks.
Oh man, happy to do it. Well, all right. Well, let's leave it there. I think that should give people a lot to work on. And like I said, in the blue community for 3 weeks, we're working on this great tune. Soul Eyes. So yes, please sign up for the free trial. There's nothing to it. Come in and really see what we're talking about working inside JAZZWIRE. I want you to join hundreds and hundreds of people from 25 different countries. It's pretty hip.
It's worth it. And so shout out to my now former friend, Arthur White, who told you about my former name. Love you, Arthur. And also, Jeff, pull that neck strap up. If you're going to be, come on, man, get it up there. Let's go. Come on. So.
Yeah, you've been talking to Branford Marcellus.
That's right.
Yeah, that's it. Pull up the neck strap. That's some good parting advice from a trumpet player. Wherever your neck strap is, pull it up. I love it. Take care, y'all.
Peace out.